Good morning, girls and boys, and welcome to week 31 of our art class. And it's really nice to see you. We are focusing on silhouette, okay? Last week's purpose of our lesson was to create a silhouette, which means an outline of a person, place, or a thing, right? Our object or our subject matter, the thing that it is that we are drawing. And so it is an outline of that thing that is not receiving light, and therefore it appears to be black. So if you look at this painting here, this was Beach Lake in Pennsylvania, and the sun was setting. The sun was going down behind this mountain range of trees here, and because it was going behind the mountain on the opposite side, this side was not receiving any of that light, therefore creating a silhouette, right? So in order to give you a little bit better idea of the silhouette, I'm just going to revisit this as a concept, right? I don't have a flashlight, I'm sorry, so I'm using my lantern here, but let's pretend that I am the mountain, right? My head is that mountain, and this is the sunlight, right? So here's the sun high overhead, and it's lunchtime, and now the sun is starting to set, and it is going down, down, down behind the mountain. Remember, I'm the mountain. The sun just went down behind the mountain. Is this side of the mountain receiving any sunlight? No. Is this side of the mountain receiving sunlight? Yes, it is. And so therefore, this side that is receiving no light from the sun would create that silhouette. And so the idea is that, and last week you created some beautiful, beautiful silhouettes, and you sent them in to me on Google Classroom, and I so appreciate it. And so now we are going to take those silhouette drawings, and we're going to add the colorful background to your sky, to your water. As you can see, I told you that it was completely up to you what it was that you wanted to create as your silhouette. Some people wanted to show nature and do something more biomorphic like trees. Some people wanted to add people in their pieces, right? So some kids, a dog, animals. Other people, let me just show you here, wanted to make things a little bit larger in another class, and so they were creating a larger person, the little bit of land, a bench here. So what I want you to do first for this week is go back in to your piece. Finish anything that is not completed. If you have a piece that looks something like this, and you have scrabbled and left white spaces, it's very important that you go back in and that you fill in a solid black manner, right here, solid black image. That is going to create the silhouette. If you leave a lot of white spaces, it will not look like a silhouette, and the attention will not be on your silhouette. It will be on the white spaces instead, okay? So what I'd like you to do is to finish your piece. Now, that you could add more elements to it if you'd like. I could put blades of grass like this. Remember, I told you that if you had, let me pull you a little closer. Remember, I told you that if you had things here, objects here, a football laying on the ground, the grass, some flowers, that none of that will be visible. None of it would show because all of this is part of the silhouette. But anything that is going to be up against the light the light background, that will show. And so if you wanted to include some details here, maybe there's some grass showing underneath your bench or some flowers, there is your opportunity to add those little fine details. Okay, if you wanted to show, let's say I want to put another person sitting here, I can do that. And that is another beautiful part of having it be a silhouette, is that usually we are so worried about drawing everything just right and not crossing over things so that we don't have lines going through it. And when we do, we have to erase it carefully. Here, we do the opposite, the total opposite of how we regularly draw when we create a silhouette. So let's say I want to make a person sitting here and this person is coming to say hello. I'm going to simply draw a rectangle. I'm going to color it all in, and it helps me, whether I'm using pencil or not, it helps me to color it all in as I'm drawing so that I can see that outline, which is the silhouette. Now I'm going to put a little square above that. I color it in. That's my person's neck. And now I would draw my oval resting right on top of that square. Now I have a person's head and the body. And now I'm going to just add a rectangle here. A rectangle here. Maybe I make it bent. I put a leg here, a leg there. Now it appears as though someone is actually sitting on the bench, and we just need some arms. Maybe I'm going to make this person's arm like this. And another arm by his side. And that's it. So now I have something that looks like a person sitting on a bench and a person walking towards the other person. And the details that you would add here are things that would be in your drawing. Like I would make a letter C, ear, and a backwards letter C, ear for this person. But now I color them in. And now maybe this person has some wavy curly hair like I do. And I'm gonna just draw some wavy curls on top of their head. I don't know. But now I have given this person some curly hair, right? And it shows. You can see that detail because it is a black silhouette against a lighter background. And that is what we are going to do today. So whatever it is that you want to add to your piece, you may add it all in. If you want things flying here, maybe I'm gonna make a bird, a circle, next to an oval, and then a wing up here, and then another wing back here, and then a little triangular beak, and a triangle tail. Right? Now, that's not hard to do. I made the bird the size that it should be according to how tall the kids are, right? And I can put anything that I want in the sky. If this person wants to be holding a balloon, maybe this person right here is holding a balloon. I don't know, boys and girls. It is absolutely your choice as to what you want your silhouette to look like. However, it must be blackened in. That is the whole idea, the whole concept of a silhouette is that it is blackened in against a very light background, which we are going to make now, right? So here. All right. So I like my silhouette. And I have different ones here, so I'm going to show you a few different techniques, okay? That's what today is going to be about, is about adding color in different ways with different materials, because we all have different things in our homes. So I think I'm going to start by revisiting that watercolor technique, okay? So for those of you who missed it last week, I'm using markers, not permanent Sharpie markers. I'm going to use some, let's see, some of these markers, and I'm just going to make little bands of color. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to simply color right over my images with this red. And I'm going to color it in. And the purpose for doing this technique, I'm sorry, not last week, the week before that, I introduced it to show you that you can use regular household items to watercolor paint. So you're actually painting without watercolor paints, without brushes. All I'm doing is adding a band of color. Let me make it thicker. And I'm going to add this color here. Then I'm going to move down from red to orange to yellow. I always want my darkest color or my darkest value of a color to be at the top and my lightest value of a color to be at the bottom. Why? Because we're making a silhouette, which means that we don't have a lot of light. And the light source is the sun in this case. So the sun is setting here. And that means that that is the brightest area of our piece. So down here, I'm going to color all of this yellow. And because I used a Sharpie marker, I'm able to color right over it. If you do this with another kind of a marker, it might blend and you might get a little bit of black into your yellow. That also might happen when you use crayons, not always, but if you want to avoid that from happening or you're not sure if that is going to happen, you could always color around your silhouettes. But I'm just going right over it so that I can not run out of time. Okay, so there's my yellow. And I want to add some orange in between. So we're going from the darkest, color to the medium darkest to the lightest. Then somewhere around here in the middle, I'm going to add my orange. Let me get that back up there. And all I'm doing, boys and girls, is going back and forth. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is a sunset. The colors blend and mix while they're in the sky. And that is how your paper can look as well. And I did that everywhere. I made zigzag lines, back and forth, thin, skinny, squished zigzag lines like a letter Z. So here I'm filling this in pretty well, solid, and then I'm going to go like this. I'm going to make a letter Z. A Z, or I can zigzag back and forth like this. And I'm going to go a little bit into my yellow. I want to introduce some of this color into my bottom color, and I'm going to do the same here as well. I'm going to go from this red, zigzag back and forth. Do you have to do this? No, you do not have to do that. I'm just showing you one way here. Then I'm going to use this drawing down here, and I'll show you another material. You use whatever materials you have at home. I just know that some of you have these materials and you might want to use them and you might want to experiment with them. And so you can. Okay, and I think that's about it. I am going to leave some white spaces, and that is because you want the colors to be able to bleed into one another, and that is how they blend. So I told those of you that were with me last week that you can paint just with the ink from the marker and Q-tips and a little water from the sink. So I'm going to take this Q-tip, these two Q-tips, I'm going to dip them in the water, and then I am going to simply do this. I am going to blend my colors. So I am, instead of painting with a brush, I am now painting with my Q-tips or my cotton swabs, right? It's pretty fun. So now I just keep dipping it very carefully into my water. And if you're doing this at home on your tabletop, then you want to put a piece of brown paper or a brown paper bag or a paper towel underneath your paper so that you don't make a big mess on the surface that you're working on. But if you notice, I just continue to dip my water into my Q-tips into my water, excuse me, and now I'm painting, and all of my colors are blending together, which is a really nice effect, and it's fun to do. And I'm super proud of you for all of you that tried this technique when we did koi fish. And if you didn't get to try it because for whatever reason you didn't have markers or you didn't have Q-tips or whatever, you could maybe try it now. Maybe you'll get lucky this time and you'll find some of these household materials at home. Okay, so that's just one way that you could do it. And then down here, of course, if you wanted to, let's say you have pastels, right? I can take, let me see. I can do the same color here, or I can just do the watercolor, the color of the water itself. Here, I did a reflection of the color, right? So I took these yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, and I flip-flopped them. So the order of the colors went the opposite way. Yellow, orange, red, blue. You can do that if you like, and that would be the colors reflected on the water, which they really do. Or if you didn't want to do that and you just wanted to show your water be all blue and purples and blues, you could do that as well. It's your choice. But let's just say that you have this, I have these pastels. They're broken. They're like chalk, but they're called chalk pastels. And I could take this chalk here. I could rub it along the bottom. Then I could take another blue, lighter than that one, and I could do that. And then I could either use the same, the Q-tips, or if you don't have Q-tips, you have a paper towel. I can take my paper towel, I put my finger here, I wrap this around, and I go like this. And I'm blending and mixing my pastel colors with my finger. Without getting my finger dirty, by the way. And you can blend and mix colors that way too. Right? So that's pretty fun to do. Yeah? Okay. And then you can get darker. You can always go back into your piece and add more details. So let's say I wanted to take this purple and I want to use the purple to show the reflection of these kids. So let's see. Here is the leg. I come straight down. I do a little zigzag of purple. There's the leg. this leg, I'm gonna do a little zigzag of purple that way. There's my leg. This kid sitting on the bench, here's his legs. Just little zigzag lines back and forth. And the bench, this is the seat of the bench. And that's it. All I did was add a couple of zigzag lines here, darker in purple. And now if I want to blend them in with my paper towel, I can. If I don't want to blend them in, I don't have to. I can just leave it. It's your choice. But that is what it ends up looking like. I also wanted to show you right here. You always have options, lots and lots of choices. Choices are good because then you get to make your own choices about your artwork. But right here, I think I'm going to show you some of the oil pastels. Oil pastels. You might have these. If you don't, if you just have crayons, you can use crayons as well. I usually always use crayons to show you, and now I decided to show you another material that you might have. So for this water, I'm going to, actually I can start here. I can do yellow. Yellow always goes at the bottom. Remember, we start light at the bottom where the sun is going down, and then I'm going to flip-flop it and bring the yellow down here. And then I'm gonna move to my orange, and look how quickly I'm doing that. I'm not taking my time because I'm kind of just zigzagging back and forth. Now I can take this orangey color, and with oil pastels, you don't have to press very hard at all. You just kind of glide it along. Same with the chalk pastels. Just like that. Go through here, this opening, and now I go up here. Whatever color I do down here, I do up here. I repeat that color, and let's see. Now I need a little bit of, what, red, maybe? A little bit of red, and then I'm gonna go right into blue. And when we mix the blue and the red together, what color are we going to make? Oh, if you said purple, you are correct. So now I take my red here. I jump behind these buildings, behind the trees. And now I'm going to move to my blue, like I said. So I'm gonna take this blue, which is the color of the water. I can't forget that this sailboat is on the water, right? So here is my blue. And when it mixes with some of this red, it's gonna create that secondary color of purple. And so that's a nice blending of colors. You can use your pastels or your crayons or whatever material you're using to actually blend it together just by layering. You're just adding a blue layer of color on top of the layer of red that you already have. And that's what we do with crayons all the time. The only difference between the crayon and this oil pastel here, or the chalk pastel, is that because this is made with oils, it's softer than the wax from the crayon. And so that fact that it is softer allows us to be able to blend a little bit easier if we want with, let's say, the Q-tip. You can use your finger, but it gets you really dirty and it's hard to get it off with soap and water. So I would suggest using the paper towel or the Q-tips, which I have both of here. So here's my Q-tip, and all I have to do is kind of smear it together. So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm using my Q-tip to blend, and I'm just rubbing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Do you see that? It takes a little longer when you're using a Q-tip because the surface area is very small. So if I want to take the same paper towel, wrap my finger around it, then I can blend it and smear it like this, right? I'm showing you. You're smearing and blending this oil pastel from one color to the other. Do you have to do this? No. If you want to color the whole thing in markers or crayons or whatever you have, color pencils, you absolutely may. Remember, I am just showing you different techniques with different materials so that you can know that you can experiment with your pieces, right? We all have different materials in our homes. But that is the basic idea. I'm just rubbing all of these together. You should go side to side though, because I don't want to pull my red down into my yellow, because then my yellow gets dull. It gets muddied. So I am going to go side to side. There's my purple. And then we can't forget to add the color in our windows. And by the way, I did not finish this blue up here. Remember, the darkest color or the darkest value of that color should always be at the very tippy top of your paper. Why? Because that part of the sky is already becoming dark, right? The sun is going down here. And so the night sky is very dark. I am so super proud of you, boys and girls. I cannot wait to see your artwork sent to me on Google Classroom. These are going to be spectacular. I can tell already. So there is my very, very dark value of a blue sky up there into a lighter blue and purple and red and then orange and yellow. And then don't forget the windows. And you can make them any colors that you want, right? They can be all different colors. And if people are watching TV or watching their computers at night, then the windows can be blue. They could have lights on inside. They can be yellow. They can be white, whatever you want, right? But I would fill some of those in. That makes it more interesting, more exciting to look at your piece. If you wanted to add little details like the lines going across your windows to show that that's how you open and close the window, you could do that. You could show curtains, right? It all depends on how big or how small your windows are, right? Okay, so you see lots and lots of different materials, lots of different options that you can choose from in order to complete your silhouette pieces. And like I said, I'm super proud of you. I'm putting these here. They're on the attachments, right? And I thank you very much for joining me, and I appreciate it. And please remember, I didn't say it in the beginning of this time because I got carried away. But remember that mindset matters, right? So be in a good, positive space as you're doing your artwork always, and be respectful of yourself and of everybody around you, okay? And I'm super proud of you, and please send me your artwork in Google Classroom, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.